Hi, everybody. I'm working on the next painting episode. However, I had a short break from it and wanted to use the time to delve into the Resurrected Games Workshop Grand Tournament Circuit. The rules from back then, the rules now, 3D printing, and why they currently need each other. So, after what's been a long hiatus, Games Workshop has re-entered the tournament scene with their GTs, or Grand Tournaments. I was at one of them a while back, and wanted to share the model rules requirements. It models legal armies. So, all models must be painted Citadel miniatures. They must be armed and equipped with what you see is what you get, so WYSIWYG. Models that have invisible guns or are just covered in primer aren't good enough for the tournament. If you field anything that is unpainted, expect your appearance score to plummet. It was a rule, you had to have it painted anyway. For ideas on exactly what an army appearance judge will look for, there's page 15, which is just painting tips. Conversions and scratch-built models are perfectly legal to bring, and part of the fun of being at a grand tournament. It's seeing some of the far-out monstrosities. They're talking about working remote-control orc vehicles, a flying rhino, I don't understand what that is, or other conversions. On the other hand, reproductions are not tournament legal at all. Bringing those to a tournament could get you disqualified or worse, and it has to be Citadel or Forge World models. So, nothing I wouldn't expect, to be honest. I've been to tournaments, lots of different tournaments from different companies. These events are all big deals for the companies that hold them. They're showcases for their products and their brands. So they want to show off their stuff. And the people who are attending the tournaments are all being used as marketing to show how much fun these events and the games are to get prospective new people to come and check out the game as well. The company itself doesn't matter here. Okay, it's not a GW only thing. The company itself doesn't matter here. All wargaming companies do the exact same thing. They want their brand to be shown in the execution of the event for the exact same reasons. Marketing. So, great. Awesome. GTs are back. How have they progressed? Let's take a look at the modeling requirements from this year in 2021. Playing atmospheric games with finely detailed painting miniatures, blah, blah, blah. Must be painted to first, must be a Games Workshop or Forge World miniature. All right. Must be fully assembled and painted to at least battle-ready standard, which is 3 colors. And must be what you see is what you get. So, armed with a melt-a-gun, it's got a melt-a-gun. No, he's just holding a thing and it's not there. So some can be skipped, like a frag grenade. Not every model in the unit has to have a frag grenade, but the main weaponry is what matters here. So, in that instance, it looks like they dusted off the same old chestnut from 20 years ago. And the formula is not broken. There's no reason to fix it. Well, I'd like to take a weekend trip to go and play some games. And maybe next year I'll have enough of my Chaos Marines to go ahead and take part in it. Well, go ahead and get these guys out and along with all their friends and their buddies. The problem is, I can't. Some of my models are illegal as per the rules in 3D printing. So let's take a look at what that new 3D printing clause says. Are 3D printed parts I've designed allowed? Much like hand-sculpted detail in epoxy putty or green stuff, if you've gone the effort of designing and printing your own parts for your army, they're permitted. However, commercially available third-party printed parts aren't. Keep in mind that if we do spot cast or printed parts on miniatures at our events, we'll ask you to prove where they're from and may ask for them to be removed if there's any doubt as to their origins. Well, some of my models I used or cobbled together as just parts that I get from other players and friends. And I've been doing this for as long as I can remember. It's more than 20 years. So, as a semi-frequent player, models that you use and you play with get damaged during games. That's a normal thing. Parts break, parts fall off. I'm careful with them, and even the most cautious of people are going to have some damage to their stuff. Or the parts that we get used aren't going to be complete, and they need repair. It's just something that you got to accept as part of the hobby. It's a big deal that you are going to have models that break. So, with broken models comes missing and damaged parts. And take a look here. This little guy. Looks legal, but he's not. When I got him, his shoulder pads were missing. And I had to get replacement parts for him. So, because he is illegal, and some of my other Marines are too, I can't take them to a Games Workshop Grand Tournament. But why did I go with 3D printed parts? After all, can I find the actual parts elsewhere? Well, short answer, yes. I could have. But why go with the 3D resin printed parts? And I'm not going to go into 3D cost, because that wasn't the reason. The reason I went with 3D printed parts was it was local, quick, and the options to get parts that purchase and make repairs is the best alternative. Hobby stores used to offer blister packs on their walls for Games Workshop models. And this was great. It was wonderful for flexibility. As a hobbyist, I could go and pick up 1 or 2 models instead of an entire box. I could pick up a single specialist weapon or heavy weapon, or I could also get spare parts. Not all, but some. Games Workshop also used to have the Bits Van, which was a van full of spare parts that would go on tours around the country. Although it really did get broken into a lot and stolen a few times. So I can understand why the van service was stopped. I mean, there's only so much Grand Theft Auto that anybody would want to deal with, but what about the blister pack stuff? I mean, it was convenient, and it worked. It took up a lot of wall space. Hobby stores didn't like being told what to do by another company. And there was a lawsuit about something along those lines back in 2017. Okay, so that option was put to rest. Online ordering, because you used to be able to order bits as well directly from Games Workshop, was also an option that was stopped. And I remember a lot of my friends ordering individual parts, but really getting the wrong item a lot of the time, along with other people taking advantage of the system by claiming that they got the wrong part and then getting more items ordered in. The fact that they were really bad at getting the correct item in the first place didn't help matters at all. So back to the problem at hand. The models I get are used, and used by me. They break, they need repair, and my normal options for getting parts have been stopped, leaving me as a consumer to look for a third-party supplier. Options are eBay, a bits supplier, or a knockoff part. I want to talk about that last one here. So knockoff and proxy parts have existed for decades. It's even part of where the old metal conversions came in, where you would have to hack and sculpt some of these together. So it's not anything new. Let's just put that to bed right now. What has changed is a lack of availability for original parts and the availability and quality of third-party sculpts that just so happen to fit right on to these models for repair or conversion. No more breaking out a jeweler's saw or green stuff for me. I can just get a part that fits. To compound the last point is also convenience. People can make repair parts now in their home. Or if they're okay with not having models made by the company, they can just make their own proxy models. I am not going to go into the opinions on proxy models and 3D printing in tournaments at this time. I'm just not going to do it. No. I mean, maybe in the future, not right now. But as far as the rest of us, there's some things that I would love to see, and I know that putting out your opinion on the internet is kind of dumb, but from a business perspective, I think it needs to happen. And that's, in the short term, relaxing the 3D printed parts rules needs to happen. Especially since there's no other alternatives that are really, really viable. It's just ridiculous. So I know that nobody wants to allow full-on proxies, but there needs to be parts for repair and conversions that is just currently not met at all. So how am I supposed to get my special weapons and my heavy weapons, and my conversion parts and my repair parts? I can't. I only have, a handful of close by options. For an example, if I want a Havoc squad and I want to give them all chain cannons, because who wouldn't want to? That's hilarious. I need to purchase 4 boxes because all the parts for those are not available in a single box. Whereas in the past, I would have been able to purchase them in a blister pack. But that's not there anymore. And no other option outside of trying to get chain cannons on eBay or going from a third-party bits supplier is going to work. And those, for me, in my country, have to be imported versus something that's close. So 3D printing fixes the damage and repair, and it also fixes the rules versus execution of getting that squad together problem that currently exists. So in the medium term, just move on to the medium term, miniature companies of all stripes, every one of them, needs to have parts available for repairs. How this can be executed can vary. From making part files available for purchase, so that way if I have a 3D printer, I can purchase a part, only a part, and print it at home, to making a service for a local hobby store. Maybe my hobby store is allowed to print parts based on their partnership, and they have a way of doing it. Be more than happy to go ahead and give my support to our local guys and have a bit service available so I can get an official part and still have it be local. A modern version of an on-the-fly blister pack would be great. So I think there would have to be a restriction in place. Arms, shoulder pads, that's fine. A gun, sure. But I would not expect in a million years to be able to print out like an entire torso and legs. None of this showing up where I need a repair part and, oh, by the way, it's the entire model. That's obviously just waiting to be abused. But a shoulder pad that ends up going missing on the regular, yeah, that'd be great. So that comes around to the long term. And every miniature company out there needs to recognize that third-party sculptors and artists are not a threat, but an opportunity. Allowing somebody's artistic creations to partner up and be licensed is an alternative that needs to be investigated. So, for example, we now have Warhammer Plus, where artists have been brought in and now are officially licensed items through the Games Workshop company. Why isn't there a special STL file for a Warhammer Plus membership? That'd be great, allowing me to print out an Orc Wa boss or an Imperial Colonel, and I can show on my smartphone that I have that membership to that service or a receipt that I have purchased that item to make it official. So if I go to a tournament and people wonder, what the heck is it? Well, yeah, no kidding. I've got my account license and it shows that I have officially gotten that particular model. And it also allows a certain amount of flexibility and fun. Making a single electronic file is nowhere near as taxing as putting together an entire model. Start to finish, then boxing it, shipping it out, selling it. So we can return to fun. I would love to see in Warhammer Plus an STL file for Halloween. You could make Gaz Ghoul Thraka, get them all kind of ghostly goblin-deed out. It'd be hilarious. Or you can make runs of old models and bring them back, like the Gothic rockers, because who doesn't want an orc singing into a microphone with a big slash top hat? It's just fun, which is what this is all supposed to be anyway. So what I'm getting at is that the technology exists, and it's also filling a need that was left as a gap inside the hobby community. And game companies that are making criteria for a sponsored event at the same time making it more difficult for me as a hobbyist to get the models to attend their own event is something that just doesn't feel like it's been fully thought through. It's just an opinion of mine. New technology never goes away. It doesn't. And I understand that there's many approaches for how to deal with the prospect of a person making their own parts, losing the sales of those parts. There also has to be a eventual acceptance that it's there and it's going to be used. And how the individual companies all pivot to deal with it is what matters, because trying to dig in your heels doesn't work. It's usually better to run and be first than it is to try and play catch up to a system later. Well, that's my ramble. So, thanks for listening. I promise I'm going to get that painting video out soon. Bye.